Now, you ever wonder why this works in some cases, but in other cases, that doesn't work? Or when you land a move on hit that has massive plus frames on hit. Falcaron's 1-4 is plus 16 on hit. When he goes for a standard I-13 down forward 1, your opponent should still be in recovery. However, you see here, your opponent can still block. Interesting, right? Well, these are some of the things we're going to go over in this video. As you saw the title, these are some Tekken hidden frame mechanics. I personally think they're hidden frame mechanics. Maybe somebody else would call it something else. But either way, we're going to talk about this stuff, and I hope you guys like this video. So this is a Tekken 7 guide going over frame data, but this is not an in-depth guide going over frame data, if that makes sense. If you want to watch an in-depth guide teaching you about frame data, I suggest watching, I believe Frame Whispers made a really good guide and Mayman made a really good guide. I'm pretty sure there are others, but those are the two that off the top of my head I can remember. The core purpose of this guide is to go over some game mechanics, referencing frame data and dealing with frame data that people may not be aware of or may not understand. But I will talk about frame data at a high level, because for you to understand what I'm going to talk about dealing with these game mechanics, you do need to have a clear basic understanding of how frame data works. Now, looking at the screen right here, this is a resting state for Kasumi and Josie. Now, if you hear somebody says, hey, this move is I-11, they're talking about the amount of impact frames for the opponent to do a move and it to finish the animation. And I've frozen it right here. This would technically be the I-11 point. Then you return to neutral. But if your opponent blocks this, or your opponent gets hit by her standing 4, or they get hit by it on counter hit, or the move whiffs, the time it takes to return to neutral relative to how fast or how slow your opponent returns to neutral based off of that action can vary very differently. And that information can be very, very vital, especially for key moves that you're using during a match. And you need to understand that. So I'm going to show some examples of pretty much all of these, and then we'll get into the game mechanics that I want to talk about for this video. Alright, the first example I'm going to show is dealing strictly with the startup frames or impact frames. If you look on the screen, you see I have it set to mimic. And what that does is whatever button notation I input, the computer will input the same button notation for my opponent character, and it will have the exact same startup time of me entering the notation, and it will come out whatever action relates to that computer's button notation that I inputted for my my character. So I'm going to enter Kazumi's standing 4 because that's I-11 and Josie's is I-12, and I'm showing you that Kazumi's going to win because hers is 1 frame faster. Now, all things being equal, normally the faster frame move will win, but this is Tekken and there's a lot more depth of Tekken. So for example, Pulse back 1 and King's back 1 are both I-12. King technically wins this trait because of the counter hit properties. As I said, that plays a role too. King gets a counter hit launcher for his back 1. So even though it's the same frames, this is better for King. But even in the case with Kasumi and Josie, you sometimes have to take in consideration things like range. That plays a role. Like if Josie had much better range, Josie might have won that trait even though hers is 1 frame slower. Or evasive properties. What if the move your character does, it may be 1 frame or 2 frames slower, but it has evasive properties that steps to the right or left and makes your move whiff. These are things that you just have to learn through labbing, but the general point I was trying to make is if one move is 1 frame faster or just faster in general, it'll usually beat out the other move, all things being equal. Now, the general rule of thumb is if the attacker lands a hit, they will get plus frames on hit. And if the attacker's attack is blocked, they will get negative frames on block. That's the general rule of thumb for Tekken. Of course, that's not always the case for every move. If you look at this situation here, I'm applying Josie's standing 1 jab, and that is plus 1 frames on block. Now, when I first started playing Tekken, this was extremely confusing to me. What I was doing is I was adding 1 frame to Josie's next startup move, and that's not what's happening. What's happening is Josie's returning to neutral 1 frame faster relative to how fast Kasumi returns to neutral. So, for example, using the standing 4 example, Josie's standing 4 will now come out in I-11, with Kasumi's standing 4 will still come out in I-11. And if you look at the frames for Kasumi being -1 on block, it's basically saying she's unadvantageous on block. So now Kasumi's standing 4, she's going to return to neutral 1 frame slower. So Kasumi's standing 4 is going to come out I-12, where Josie standing 4 will still come out I-12. I'm emphasizing still because I want you to understand you don't apply both. Because a lot of my friends, they get confused about this. I'm not sure if because they put both on screen for the new frame data in Tekken, but they apply both. And if you apply both, then Josie standing 4 will come out at I-11 and Kasumi standing 4 will come out at I-12, and Josie would win. And you can see here, Josie's not winning, they're trading. So you don't apply both, you apply one or the other. And the same concept applies to Paul. Remember, Paul and King's back one were both I-12. So Paul being +1 on block means Paul returns to neutral 1 frame faster. So his back one comes out in I-11, where King's comes out still in I-12. Well, King being -1 on block, he returns to neutral 1 frame slower. So relative to how fast Paul returns to neutral, King's back one will come out in I-13 now, and Paul's will come out still in I-12, meaning Paul will win. And that's why you keep seeing Paul win here. I really hope that these examples were clear and my explanations were clear, because this can be a very confusing topic, and I didn't confuse you guys more. I really hope that's not what happened. But if you have more questions, if you want me to clarify more, please leave a comment and I'll do my best. Alright, now I'm going to show examples of whiff recovery. Now, truth be told, you don't really need to know this. At this point, you know everything you need to know to understand the mechanics I'm going to talk about. But I did say I was going to show examples of this on hit and on block earlier, and I kind of just want to go through with it. So Falcon's back forward 4 on block is +6, which is really good. And on hit, it's a natural launcher. You really can't get much better than that. So really good on hit and on block. But on whiff, it's not that good. It's actually pretty bad in my opinion. This move is so bad, recovering to neutral on whiff, that you can basically confirm the move and then do a whiff punish right afterwards. And you can say, well, that's any move. Well, no, not really. Yes, it's bad to whiff, but when you have moves like, for example, I'm showing you here, the Perfect Electric, it has pretty good whiff recovery that if you try to whiff punish a Perfect Electric, a really good player with good execution, it's a good chance you will run right into another Perfect Electric and get launched, because it has pretty good whiff recovery in my opinion. But that's the examples of whiff recovery. Again, I hope you guys understand this. Let's start talking about the mechanics, which is kind of the most important part of this video. Okay, for the first set of game mechanics that we're going to be going over, it's going to be dealing with frames within frames. Now, if you look at the screen, you're going to see me apply a low crush move, which tech crouches, a high crush move, which tech jumps, and a power crush. Now, for advanced Tekken players or just people who've been playing Tekken for a long time, this is probably not going to feel like hidden frame mechanics. It's not going to feel like anything new. But for new Tekken players, probably a good amount of intermediate Tekken players, and maybe even some advanced Tekken players that don't completely understand how the mechanics works in depth, hopefully this section is very enlightening for you. I know when I first started playing Tekken 7, one of the first things you do as a new Tekken player is you apply power crushes to help keep people off you when they're pressuring you, because you don't really understand fundamentals of how to apply any other form of defense just yet. And I remember having cases where I was very upset when I would apply a power crush and it didn't work, even though I saw the animation start up. It was very frustrating, because to me, I'm like, it's supposed to absorb a mid and a high. Why didn't that work? And these are the things we're going to talk about right now in this section. We're going to go over power crushes in a few examples and kind of break that down. And I think I'm just going to pick one example for a high crush and low crush and kind of break that down, because they're very similar, so you can apply the concept to the other. But yeah, that's it. Let's get into it, because I spent a lot of time talking about the basic frame data, which I thought was important for you to understand this section here. Okay, let's start with the power crush, and let's use Josie as an example. Now, Josie's power crush startup or impact frames is I-26, and I explained what that meant earlier in the video. So the real important thing to note here is that her power crush does not activate until frame 8. So from frame 8 to 25, so I-8 to I-25, the power crush is active, which means from I-0 to I-8 and I-25 to I-26, the power crush is not active. And this is really important knowledge to know, because between 8 and 25, that's the point where the power crush will absorb a mid or a high. And that's the whole point of using a power crush. But if you see here, I'm knocking Josie out of her power crush before she gets to the activation frames. And as a new Tekken player, this was very frustrating for me, because I did not understand in some cases why the power crush worked, and in other cases why I was getting knocked out of the power crush. It's very, very frustrating. So for me and for some people, I want to explain this to them. I think this is good things to know. Now, another example I'm showing you here, as I said, from frame 25 to 26, the power crush is also not active. So I'm throwing out a jab to show you that the power crush is being absorbing that jab, but then I'm throwing out another hit and I'm timing it to hit Josie on the impact frames of 26. And this is rare because this is one frame, but there could be a rare case, for example, where somebody actually lands a powerful move at frames 26 and you trade and it's no longer in your advantage, and it might even be in your opponent's advantage that actually knocked you out of the power crush. Now, this might not change how you apply power crushes, I don't know, but I do think for a game as complex as Tekken, it's very important to understand and know why certain things don't work or do work. That's just my opinion. Focus on the left side of the screen right here. Now I'm applying Shaheen's orbital, which has a startup of I-25, but the move reaches jump status at I-9. So the move will low crush any move once it hits I-9, which means any low in the game will whiff on Shaheen right here. Now focus on the right side of the screen, I'm applying Lay's Hell Sweep, and the starter frames for this is I-20, but the move reaches crouch status at I-11, which means it will high crush any high. So at I-11, any high in the game will whiff on Lay right here. Let's look at a detailed example and see why this knowledge is important. The starter frames for Josie's hop kick is I-15, but she reaches jump status at I-9 just like Shaheen's orbital. You see here, Lay's down 3 low is I-16. That gives Josie 7 frames to crush his low. Plenty of time to crush his low, right? So why in this case does it not work? Why can she not crush his low? The reason is Lay's while running 1 is +8 on block, which means Lay returns to neutral relative to Josie 8 frames faster, which means that his down 3 will effectively come out at I-8, and I-8 is faster than I-9. So in this case, Josie would lose when she tries to crush his low. And this is good knowledge to know, because if this happens in a match, this will make you aware not to try to do Josie's hop kick as a low crush if you're reading a low. I want to show you some examples of some moves that are so plus on hit that you return to neutral faster than your opponent, and your opponent's still in recovery and they can't block. Genryu's forward 2 tilde 1 right here is +12 on hit. This gives him time to do his I-10 attack because Kazuya is still in 2 frames of recovery. Kazuya cannot block. Julia is another example. On crouching opponents, Julia's down forward 1 is +14 on hit. So that gives her time to do her 13 frame punish here, or just 13 frame move attack here. And we've all seen Lil Majin do King Shove on counter hit, which gives him enough plus frames to do a guaranteed forward 2-1. So these are examples I want to show you because this will illustrate my point in the next section. Okay, so there are a select amount of moves in Tekken that kind of falls into this category called nothing's guaranteed. And all that means is if you land a move on block that's advantageous for your own block, usually is very advantageous, or you land a move on hit and it's usually very advantageous on hit, you can't get a guaranteed follow-up attack after that, even though based on what we've learned from frame data, you should be able to. So for example, Fakuran's 1-4 is +16 on hit. And since he returns to neutral 16 frames faster than Kazuya relative to Kazuya, like I always say, he should be able to land his down forward 1, which is I-13, because Kazuya should be in recovery frames, but he can't. Kazuya can block it. King's 4 forward 1 is +14 on hit. Now you see me doing a 10 frame follow-up. Kazuya should have 4 frames of recovery, and he shouldn't be able to block, but he can block it. So this is what I mean when I say nothing's guaranteed. And you kind of notice that in most of these cases you're seeing a ballerina spin. Well, that's a good indicator, but here's an example that doesn't have a ballerina spin. Genryu's 2-1 going to his stance is +12 on hit, and his stance 1 move coming out of stance is I-11. So Kazuya shouldn't be able to block the I-11 move, but he can still block it. Now, that might be something I'm missing here with Genryu, but from my testing, he can't block it. If I'm wrong about that, you guys just please let me know. But that's it for my frame data video going over what I would call hidden frame mechanics for Tekken 7. I hope you guys liked it. Even the basic section, hopefully that gets you off to a basic start of understanding frame data, and the examples I showed you in the mechanics section, hopefully that clears up things for you if you were confused about certain things. This is Acid Light. You guys take care.